Let's bring in Republican Senator Luther Strange of Alabama. Good afternoon, Senator. Thanks for being with us.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
I want to give you the chance to lay out your perspective for our viewers here on the bill. You heard the president's own words. He wants this to be a bill with heart. Do you think it has that? And what do you think, from your perspective, what are this bill's sort of highlights, its best points?
Well, I strongly support President Trump and his commitment to repeal and replace Obamacare. And I am cautiously optimistic that we're going to get there. We have a once in a long time opportunity to reduce taxes by billions of dollars on the American people, eliminate mandates on the individuals and companies to provide something that people may not want. We have a chance to reform a major entitlement program for the first time in years and years. There are a lot of good things in this bill. I'm studying it very hard this weekend with my staff to see how it affects the citizens of my state, but I'm very optimistic that we're going to get there. We have to get there. The current status quo will not be sustainable.
Now, with the bill as it currently stands, Senator, do you see any room for improvement?
Well, I think there's always room for improvement. This is the legislative process, as you know, and I'm glad to see our colleagues. I would count myself with my conservative friends as concerned about getting conservative solutions to these problems. Those are the ones that tend to work. I wish our Democratic colleagues who caused this mess would come to help us. I don't think we can count on that. So we're going to get it done. I feel very confident that we will.
Now, the Senate Majority Leader, as you know, wants this to go to vote next week, which as of today is only a couple of days from now, and then to get it to the conference committee as soon as possible. What do you think the sort of outlook is for the timeline here? Is this realistic? Is this the timing you would set for this legislation if it were up to you?
Well, I think we're at a point now where we have to have a vote. We've talked about this for 8 years. As Attorney General, I was involved in litigation to try and in challenging the Obamacare law because I thought it was unconstitutional. This issue has been with us for quite some time. We know the devastating effects of it. The premiums and deductibles affecting my citizens are unbelievable. They're not sustainable. So I think it's time to come to the table. We've talked about this enough. It's not that these issues are new. Now it's time for conservative, common sense solutions.
And if worst case scenario, this bill doesn't get out of the Senate next week, what do you think are the implications for the timeline of the legislation, but more broadly for President Trump's entire domestic agenda? As you know, sometimes legislation has these sort of domino or ripple effects. What do you make of that?
Well, I don't know what to make of that, honestly, as a political prognosis. I just know that the people of my state, I personally want to see the president succeed. I think everybody on the other side of the aisle is trying to do everything they can to prevent him from succeeding. I think this will be a testing moment, but we're going to continue to do what has to be done, which is fix a failing Obamacare system.
Now, I want to just pivot from healthcare for a moment, because I know about an initiative you've undertaken working with the NRA to try and set up for your fellow lawmakers on the Hill active shooter training. As a sort of response to beef up security in the wake of last week's horrible events in Arlington, Virginia, at the baseball practice. Now, this sounds like a great idea. Why wasn't this happening earlier?
You know, that's a very good question. You know, having been Attorney General, I'm very aware of the dangerous threat that all public officials are subjected to. It seems like common sense to me to work with my friends at the National Rifle Association to provide training to anybody on the Hill who'd like to have that training on how to safely handle a firearm and how to react in a situation where there may be an active shooter. It's an unfortunate reality of the world we live in now. But I think by making this available, it's just something that's an option, would be a great benefit. One of my staffers, one of my close young staffers, was at the ball game. At the practice, he was pitching warm-up and was almost shot himself. It's hit close to home for me, and I just think this is a common sense way to address that issue.
I'm sorry to hear that, Senator, and all of our best to him. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Thank you for your service, and we hope to speak with you again soon.
Thank you very much.
You can hear more from President Trump on this topic and lots more tomorrow morning on Fox and Friends. President